My friends and I were recently discussing our relationships with our mothers, and when I went on to describe mine, they looked extremely concerned and said that my mother and I have an emotionally incestuous relationship. To be honest, I was incredibly offended and upset, but now that I think about it, I'm starting to get scared that my relationship with my mother is something other than what I thought it was. I always considered my mother and I to be close, both physically and mentally. My friends say that these are the reasons I should move out once I hit 18. My mother walks around naked in front of me, and specifically only me. It's not like she plays it up or anything, but it happens pretty often. My friends tell me this isn't normal, and I guess it isn't, but I always assumed it was because we were the same gender. This was the biggest reason to them. My mother and I play fight. I playfully bite her or pretend to hit her, and she does the same to me. She also threatens to hit me when I'm being purposefully annoying or calls me a little shoot. My friends say this isn't normal. My mother and father never had a good marriage, and my father and I don't have the best relationship due to prior abuse. It's complicated and not the point, but she often vents her frustrations with him on me. He abused her for the entirety of their relationship, and she often insults him, yells at him in front of me, or spills out secrets from their relationship, romantically, not sexually. My friends say she shouldn't be doing this, and I guess I agree to an extent, as I often shut down when an argument occurs or I get scared easily, but she's been abused by him for more than 20 years, and I want her to have a safe space to talk about her feelings. She talks to me openly about intimacy. Not her prior intimacy experiences, of course, but more so what happens, what I should expect, and what I shouldn't tolerate. I don't talk to her about my intimacy experiences, but I am open about what I think was weird in the experience, what I didn't like, and she gives me advice on what I should do. My friends say my mother shouldn't be talking to me about intimacy, period. And I get that, I suppose, but still. She doesn't like any of my friends or any partners. I get this because I've had some experiences with bad friends, and I almost got myself into a sexual romantic relationship with someone not my age, 20s, when I was 13, before I told her. She tells me it's because she's protective of me and wants me to be treated fairly, and I'm happy she watches out for me, but my friends call this overbearing. It does get annoying sometimes, but I get she just wants the best for me. She's very physically affectionate with me. She kisses my head, hugs me a lot, strokes/sniffs my hair, holds my hand, etc. She does this a lot in public and in private, and my friends say this is weird of her to be this affectionate. Maybe it is, but I never thought it crossed into anything inappropriate. She's closer to me than any of our siblings and calls me the favorite, just to me. She's never treated us any differently to my knowledge and still is affectionate and loving to my other siblings, but my friends say this isn't healthy. I never saw anything wrong with her behavior until this was pointed out to me, and I'm starting to get scared that maybe this isn't normal. Or maybe I'm reading too much into it and I just need better friends. TLDR. My friends say I have an incestuous relationship with my mother and listed reasons as to why, such as she walks around me naked, she often vents to me about my father, and talks to me about intimacy, not her intimacy experiences, openly. I'm starting to think that maybe they are right. Edit. IDK if anyone will see this or care, but the general consensus seems to be that everything is normal, besides the favoritism and venting to me about my father. I will make it clear I am in no way uncomfortable with anything besides the venting. When I said my mother walks around me naked, I meant that she gets changed in front of me and doesn't rush to do so. I am not and was never uncomfortable with this, and if I was, it's not like I couldn't just ask her to stop. She has always respected my boundaries and my words as the truth. I will talk to my mom about toning down the bashing of my dad and probably tell my friends off for being so weird about it, lol. Thank you all for the support. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Aside from your mom talking about your dad, everything else is normal, or at least not completely inappropriate. Your mom walks around naked in front of you. I'm guessing she gets dressed and in out of the shower when you're around, and not that she's lounging on the couch or cooking in the kitchen fully unclothed. If that's the case, dressing, etc., not lounging, living unclothed, then it's fine. Play fighting. My kids still play with me, and they're 23 and 18. Talking about dad, that's a no. Talking about intimacy. If she's talking about intimacy, health, and safety, that's a very good thing. If she's talking about relationships, boundaries, and what you want to see in a good potential partner, that's great. If she's talking to you about your body, your right to pleasure, and all that girl stuff that girls need to know about how things work and function down there, that's fantastic. I feel badly for your friends who can't talk to their parents about that stuff. Comment 2. What I came here to say has been said perfectly already by others. Similarly, my only criticism is her bashing your dad like that to you. I'm in my 50s with 4 adult kids. I've always been very careful not to slag their dad off. It's not fair. And that's the inappropriate bit. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a month since I last posted about my mom and me, and boy, do I have an update for you. Things have taken a turn, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. So, after I talked to my mom about the whole situation with my dad, things seemed to get better. She toned down the bashing, and I felt like we were moving in the right direction. But then, things got weird again. She started getting more clingy, if that's even possible. She'd insist on holding my hand whenever we were out, and the hugs became longer and more frequent. It was like she was trying to make up for not talking about my dad by being even more affectionate. One day, I came home from school to find her crying in the kitchen. She said she had a fight with my dad, and it was worse than usual. I tried to comfort her, but she just clung to me and wouldn't let go. It was suffocating, and I didn't know how to handle it. I felt trapped between wanting to help her and feeling overwhelmed by her neediness. Then, there was this incident with my friend, Lily. Lily had been my best friend since middle school, and she was one of the friends who had expressed concern about my relationship with my mom. Well, my mom overheard me talking to Lily on the phone about a guy I liked. She freaked out, saying that I was too young to be thinking about boys and that I should be focusing on my studies. She even accused Lily of being a bad influence on me. It was so out of line, and it caused a huge fight between us. I started spending more time at Lily's place to avoid the tension at home. But my mom would call me constantly, asking when I was coming home and if I was okay. It felt like she couldn't stand the thought of me being away from her, even for a few hours. Things came to a head when I found out that my mom had been going through my room. She read my diary, where I had written about feeling smothered by her and my confusion about our relationship. She confronted me, crying, saying she was just trying to protect me and be a good mother. I was furious. I couldn't believe she would invade my privacy like that. I told her I needed space, and that's when she dropped a bombshell. She confessed that she felt lost without me, that I was the only good thing in her life, and that she didn't know what she'd do if I left her. It was a lot to take in, and I felt guilty for wanting to distance myself from her. But the final straw was when she tried to sabotage my relationship with a guy I had started seeing. She told him lies about me, saying that I was unstable and not ready for a relationship. He believed her and broke things off with me. I was heartbroken and furious at the same time. I confronted her about it, and we had a huge argument. She said she was just trying to protect me, but I couldn't see it that way. It felt like she was trying to control every aspect of my life. Now, I'm counting down the days until I can move out. I've been saving up money from my part-time job, and I'm looking for apartments. I still love my mom, but I can't live like this anymore. I need to find my own way and live my own life. As for karma, well, it's funny how things work out. My mom's overbearing behavior has pushed me to become more independent. I've learned to set boundaries and stand up for myself. And in a weird way, I have to thank her for that. It's not the kind of righting of wrongs that you might expect, but it's something. I yelled at my husband to stop his pranks, but now I miss them. Oh boy, he's in for a surprise. DH and I have been together for 15 years, and most parts of our marriage are just about perfect. We have our ups and downs, of course, but things are mostly great. One of the things that drew me to my husband was his sense of humor. He never takes things too seriously, including himself, and is always quick with a joke or witty response. One of the things he has always done is mess with me. If I am bending over in the freezer, he would grab my hips and dry hump me until I dropped what I was holding. If I was sitting on the floor doing my nails, he would step over me in a way that his genitals would rub against my head. If I am on the couch with my phone, holding it by the pop socket, he would knock it out of my hand gently so that it would fall on my lap. Of course, I couldn't help but smirk a little and roll my eyes at how stupid and immature this all was, but it was getting annoying. I would tell him to stop, but he wouldn't take me seriously because of the smirk. The last time he did this, I had had enough, and I screamed at him. I told him that I was tired of him messing around with me and that he needed to stop when I said stop. He looked a little hurt and said that he thought I kind of liked it when he messed with me, but he said he would stop. This was right before Thanksgiving. Since then, he hasn't done any of those things anymore. The issue is that the other day I was organizing the freezer after shopping and I heard him behind me. In my mind, I got ready for the inevitable dry hump, but it never came. When I turned around, he was gone. I have to admit, I missed it. No matter how stupid or annoying it was, it had over the years become his way of showing me he loves me. Just his stupid little pranks that showed he was having fun with me. The same thing happened when I was holding my phone. He walked by and didn't even look at me in a fun way. I was in the shower and heard him come in to throw something away and was almost praying that he would turn the light off and leave me in the dark for a few minutes. But nope. Don't get me wrong, he is not moping around or ignoring me. He still cuddles with me. Intimacy is still good. He is still the same supportive and kind man I married, but it seems that all of the fun is gone. How do I tell him I want him to go back to messing around with me when I yelled at him so much the last time? I called him immature and said his pranks were just mean and stupid and not funny. How do I come back from that without seeming insane or flaky? The only thing worse than him doing those things all the time is him not doing them at all. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If he starts up again, how is he going to know when you will next scream at him without any warning? You need to figure out what happened when you had had enough. I would never repeat any behavior that resulted in my partner screaming at me, not only because they didn't like it, but also because I'm not into getting screamed at. After you apologize, if he's willing to bring the behavior back, you will need to figure out how to put some kind of boundaries and/or warning system in place. Comment 2. I used to be a playful smartass with my wife, and she would laugh and tell me what a funny jerk I was. It was always in humor and with good intentions. Plus, she was good at giving it back. Then one day she told me it was getting old and not funny anymore. It hurt my feelings and made me feel like an idiot. Now, it's very rare that I use sarcasm with her because I don't want to get snapped at. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a week since I posted about my husband and his pranks that were driving me up the wall. I never expected to be back here with an update, but here we are, and let me tell you, it's been a whirlwind of emotions. So after I blew up at him for his constant joking around, things got really quiet. Like too quiet. My husband, the man who used to make me laugh until my sides hurt, was now treating me like I was made of glass. It was weird, and honestly, it made the house feel cold. I missed his touch, his goofy grin when he was about to do something silly. I missed us. So I decided to talk to him. I told him I missed his playful side and that I might have overreacted. He listened, but he didn't say much, just nodded and gave me a small smile. The next day, I found a note in my lunch bag with a terrible pun that made me snort laugh in the middle of the office. It was a small thing, but it felt like a step in the right direction. I texted him a thank you with a bunch of laughing emojis, and he replied with a winky face. Classic him. But then, things took a turn. I came home early one day to surprise him, and I heard laughter coming from our bedroom. My heart sank. I crept up the stairs and pushed the door open, only to find him on a video call with his brother, sharing jokes and being his old self. Relief washed over me, but it was quickly replaced by confusion. Why was he so reserved around me, but not with others? I confronted him about it, and that's when the bomb dropped. He admitted that he was scared of overstepping again, that my outburst had made him question everything about how he showed affection. He didn't want to lose me over what he thought was just harmless fun. We talked for hours, hashing out our feelings and how we'd gotten to this point. It was raw and emotional, and by the end of it, we were both exhausted but felt closer than we had in weeks. The next few days were a mix of awkward and sweet as we tried to find our new normal. He started to bring back some of his old antics, but now he'd always check in with a look to make sure it was okay. It was different, but it was something. Then, just when I thought we were getting back on track, I found out why he'd really been holding back. A friend of mine, who's always had a bit of a thing for my husband, told me she'd seen him at a cafe with another woman. My world stopped. I confronted him, ready for a fight, but he just sighed and pulled out his phone. Turns out, the woman was a therapist. He'd been going to her to figure out how to be a better husband for me. He wanted to understand my boundaries and how to respect them without losing the playful side of our relationship. I was floored. Here I was, thinking the worst, and he was just trying to do right by me. We're still working through things. It's not perfect, and sometimes I catch a glimpse of hesitation in his eyes before he pulls me into a bear hug or sneaks up to scare me. But we're trying, and that's what matters. I got married, but now I'm separated from my husband, and I'm not sure if I'm overreacting or if I should take him back. But then he went to a strip club before our wedding with his friends. Hi all, just got married and already separated. Need to know if I'm overreacting for being so upset and whether I'm a fool for even thinking of taking him back. Some background. We've been together for 14 years. What I loved the most about him was that he was loyal, truthful, and had a good heart. When we met, he knew everyone considered me to be a knockout, even though, as a curvy petite Latina type, I wasn't his preferred type, which were blondes. We've been very solid, living together for 8 years, and the later marriage was because we were building our careers. 2 to 3 years ago, I became very stressed finishing my law degree and then working in a job where I worked 70-hour weeks for a solid year and a half. I stopped taking care of myself and put on about 20 kilograms. I admit I didn't look anywhere near as good as I used to and was chubby. I noticed my husband pulled away and asked him multiple times if there were any issues on the attraction front and whether he was okay with me working this hard to try and make partner within 5 years, even if it meant my body was showing the physical stress and toll it took on me. He always denied any issues and said he supported my vision and goals for us, but he didn't sleep with me for those 2 years and said that it was because of his own work stress and how tired he was. The issue 2 weeks before the wedding, he went on our bucks. He knew the boundaries. Strip clubs are fine, but no touching, and he assured me he would never break that. After a day of drinking, the boys decided to end the night at the strip club. My husband was very drunk at this time, but remembered certain moments clearly. This included one lap dance with a naked girl, full touching, in front of all of his friends where he was aroused and telling the stripper he was enjoying it. There were 3 others that he doesn't remember. A private show with a naked girl who was touching him. He said the thought of me popped into his head, but when it did, he just thought about how I'm fat and ugly and that he's not sexually attracted to me. He thought about how he deserves the naked girl on top of him, and when will he get this opportunity again? He said he told himself he could lie and blame it on the Bucks night and the alcohol. In the private show, they apparently were getting very hot and heavy, all the way up to dry humping and simulating intimacy. It was only when the stripper then pushed for actual intimacy that he realized that would be the point of no return and left. He admitted he really wanted to have intimacy with her. His friends paid for all of these shows and extra for touching, even though it's illegal to touch where we live. Before the wedding, he told me there was a private show and lap dance along with a group dance. He told me he was completely wasted and had no idea what was going on, and would have never wanted to do that. I believed him, and we didn't end up postponing the wedding. After the wedding, I kept noticing inconsistent statements about the night, and eventually over multiple nights of me asking for a clear story, he finally told me the actual truth. I am devastated that he lied to me before the wedding day. I would have postponed the marriage. Now we are looking at annulment or a divorce. He disrespected me in front of mutual friends by having another woman perform an intimacy act on him with the lap dance and show his arousal in front of our friends, essentially almost having intimacy with a stripper, and actually thinking of me in such a horrible way before choosing to do that act. He is not the man I thought he was. Now that the truth is out, we are separated. He is saying he's devastated, said he realized how disrespectful he was to me, and that he believes this stems from his own issues. He said that he focuses on the negatives, e.g., if I now had a tummy, which would override anything positive about me. He would then idealize other women he checked out, despite being so critical of me. He understands that this is not normal. He said he has to think about what this means for him. Can he ever be attracted to a woman for the long term? If she gains weight with kids, etc. But also to me, if I don't maintain the original weight I had, plus minus 5 to 10 kilograms since we first met at 21. He does seem genuinely broken and remorseful now that he realizes we are likely over. We will be going to counseling. I did lose 10 kilograms before the wedding day, and he now says he finds me very desirable again. I know him to be a good man, but his actions show otherwise. Am I a fool for even thinking of taking him back if he is now truly remorseful? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He is the type of man who leaves his wife when she gets chronically ill. He's the type of man who hates his wife's body after children. He cheated. He waited until after the wedding for the full truth. He didn't want to have intimacy with you for 2 years. He has friends who enable cheating. And I'm sorry, did he say he deserves better? I'm not seeing how he's a good man. I'm not seeing why you'd want to save this. There are way better men out there. Comment 2. No, absolutely not. Proceed with the divorce/annulment. While he waffles on whether or not he can be faithful to a woman with a non-perfect body, ask yourself if you can ever be attracted to a man who gets his friend to buy him a woman to have intimacy with, so they can all be aroused and then lies to you about it and blames you for not looking 21 forever. Find a man whose moral compass isn't so fragile that he abandons it when someone else gains weight. Now, hey everyone, it's been 3 months since I last posted about my marriage falling apart right after it began. Things have gotten even more complicated, and I'm still reeling from the latest developments. Let's rewind a bit. My husband and I had been together for 14 years before we tied the knot. We had a strong relationship, or so I thought. He always seemed loyal and supportive, especially when I was grinding through law school and working insane hours. But when I gained weight due to stress, I felt him pulling away, even though he denied it. Fast forward to the bachelor party fiasco. He crossed lines we had agreed on, getting way too intimate with a stripper. He lied about it before the wedding, and I only got the truth out of him after we were married. I was heartbroken, and we separated. Now, for the juicy update. We started counseling, and it was like opening Pandora's box. The counselor suggested we delve into our past to understand our present issues. It turns out my husband had been harboring resentment from years ago when I had to cancel a trip we planned because of an unexpected work commitment. He never brought it up, but it festered inside him, contributing to his negative feelings. During one of our sessions, he admitted that he had been comparing me to an ex-girlfriend from college, someone who fit his blonde preference. He confessed that he had been in contact with her on social media, which was a gut punch I didn't see coming. They hadn't met up, but the emotional betrayal stung just as much as the physical one. But wait, there's more. One of our mutual friends, who was at the bachelor party, recently reached out to me. He felt guilty and said he needed to get something off his chest. He revealed that my husband had been flirting with a waitress at a bar they frequented during his work stress phase. Nothing happened, but it was clear my husband had been seeking attention elsewhere for a while. This new information made me question everything. My husband, seeing the pain he caused, became more desperate to fix things. He started going to therapy alone, trying to work on his issues with commitment and attraction. He even quit his job, claiming it was a toxic environment that contributed to his poor choices. Meanwhile, I've been focusing on myself. I continued to lose weight, not for him, but for my own health and confidence. I've been reconnecting with old friends and picking up hobbies I neglected during my workaholic years. It's been empowering, but also lonely. The biggest bombshell dropped just last week. My husband came clean about another secret he'd been keeping. During our separation, he had a one-night stand. He said it was a wake-up call, that it made him realize he truly wanted to be with me and no one else. But for me, it was the last straw. How could I trust anything he said after so many lies? Now he's begging for another chance, swearing he's changed. He's been showering me with attention and affection, trying to prove he's serious. But I can't shake the feeling that this is just another manipulation. I'm torn. On one hand, I see a man who seems genuinely remorseful and is taking steps to better himself. On the other, I see a pattern of deceit and disrespect that I'm not sure can be broken. Can people really change that much? Is it worth the risk to find out? If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.